And I would like to begin with testicles. Men who sleep 5 hours a night have significantly smaller testicles than those who sleep 7 hours or more. In addition, men who routinely sleep just 4 to 5 hours a night will have a level of testosterone which is that of someone 10 years their senior. So a lack of sleep will age a man by a decade in terms of that critical aspect of wellness. And we see equivalent impairments in female reproductive health caused by a lack of sleep. This is the best news that I have for you this evening. From this point forward, it may only get worse. Not only will I tell you about the wonderfully good things that happen when you get sleep, but the alarmingly bad things that happen when you don't get enough, both for your brain and for your body. Let me start with the brain and the functions of learning and memory. Because what we've discovered over the past 10 or 15 years is that you need sleep after learning to essentially hit the save button on those new memories so that you don't forget. So sleep will actually future-proof that information within your brain. But recently we discovered that you also need sleep, not just after learning, but also before learning. And now to actually prepare your brain, almost like a dry sponge, ready to initially soak up new information. And without sleep, the memory circuits of the brain essentially become waterlogged, as it were, and you can't absorb new information.
I mean, wakefulness, firstly, from a brain perspective, is low-level brain damage. We know that.
Wakefulness is?
Yeah.
Low, like right now, you and I are getting low-level brain damage.
Yeah, that's right. And it's sleep that offers a reparatory function.
Wow.
And I'll give you one example, which is your risk for Alzheimer's disease. Insufficient sleep across the lifespan now seems to be one of the most significant lifestyle factors determining whether or not you'll develop Alzheimer's.
What studies, or if any, have been done on people that work third shift?
What we see is that shift workers have higher rates of obesity, higher rates of diabetes, but perhaps most frighteningly, cancer. And in fact, we now know the link between a lack of sleep and cancer is quite strong. Insufficient sleep is linked to cancer of the bowel, cancer of the prostate, cancer of the breast. And the association has become so powerful that recently the World Health Organization decided to classify any form of nighttime shift work as a probable carcinogen.
Whoa!
Yeah, so jobs that may induce cancer because of a disruption of your sleep-wake rhythms.
Are there other correlating factors? Like, don't people that sleep less or work into the night, don't they eat more and eat more shitty food?
They do, both of those things.
Yeah,
and we know exactly the pathways. So there are two hormones that control your appetite and your weight. One is called leptin, the other is called ghrelin. Leptin is the chemical that tells your brain you're full, you're satiated, you don't want to eat anymore. Ghrelin does the opposite. It's the hunger hormone. It says you want to eat more, you're not satisfied with your food. If I take people, and these studies have been done, we've done some of these studies too, and you just put a group of healthy people on 4 or 5 hours of sleep for, let's say, 1 week, and you look at those two hormones, they go in unfortunately opposite directions. So firstly, people who are sleeping just 5 to 6 hours a night will on average eat somewhere between 200 to 300 extra calories each day because of their underslept state. Add that up, it's about 70,000 extra calories a year. It's about 10 to 15 pounds of obese mass each year, which for me is starting to sound familiar. But what we also know is that it's not just that when you're underslept, you eat more. You eat more of the wrong things. So the great scientific work, if you give people this sort of finger buffet and they can eat whatever they want and it contains all of the different food groups, and you sleep deprive them or you give them a full 8 hours of sleep, Yes, they start to overeat by somewhere around about 450 calories with total sleep deprivation. But what they go after is heavy-hitting carbohydrates and simple sugars, processed food. And they stay away from the healthy sort of leafy greens, nuts, proteins, etc. So you're not just eating more, you're eating more of the wrong things. And that's why a lack of sleep has such a strong obesogenic profile to it.
I know that you said you work with lots of different groups, but you work with sportsmen and women a lot. And the effect that sleep can have on sport and sports ability is huge. Tell us, what's the optimal sleep and how can it affect your sporting ability?
Yeah, so sleep is probably the greatest legal performance enhancing drug that few athletes are abusing enough. And you see it in some discrete athletes. So Roger Federer claims to sleep around about 12 hours. He does that with about 10 hours at night and about a 2-hour nap during the day. Usain Bolt, the famous sprinter, slept somewhere between 9.5 to 10 hours a night. I believe one of the world, and he takes naps strategically during the day. And one of the world records that he broke, he'd only been awake for about 35 minutes beforehand after sleeping, and then came out and broke a world record. They all know the power of sleep, and they use it. You know, the basketball player LeBron James sleeps 12 hours as well. So it's not just that sleep enhances your performance on the day. I think where most sports teams neglect sleep, they're starting to gain some awareness of it before the game or the performance. It's after sleep, it's after performance where sleep is critical, because that's where you need recovery and restitution of tissues. So finally, in sort of taking a step back, what is the mission critical statement that I would love to leave you with at this stage? Well, I think it would be this. Sleep, unfortunately, is not an optional lifestyle luxury. Sleep is a non-negotiable biological necessity. It is your life support system. And it is Mother Nature's best effort yet at immortality. And the decimation of sleep throughout industrialized nations is having a catastrophic impact on our health, our wellness, even the safety and the education of our children. It is a silent sleep loss epidemic, and it is fast becoming one of the greatest public health challenges that we face in the 21st century. I believe it is now time for us to reclaim our right to a full night of sleep, and to do so without embarrassment or that unfortunate stigma of laziness. And in doing so, we can be reunited with the most powerful elixir of life, the Swiss Army knife of health, as it were. And with that soapbox rant over, I will say at this point, good night, good luck, and above all, I do hope you sleep well. Thank you very much. Thank you.